In 1958, a 28-year-old man bought a house in Omaha, Nebraska for $31,500. Nothing fancy, 5 bedrooms, on a quiet street in a middle-class neighborhood. That man was Warren Buffett. And here's the part that makes no sense. Today, he's worth over $100 billion. He could buy any house on earth. A mansion in Beverly Hills, a penthouse in Manhattan, a compound in the Hamptons. But he still lives in that same house, the one he bought 67 years ago, for $31,500. Most people hear this story and think he's cheap or eccentric, or just doesn't care about nice things. But that's not it at all. What Buffett understood in 1958 changed everything, and it's the reason he became one of the richest people on the planet. Here's what most people get wrong about this story. They think it's about being frugal, about not spending money, about living below your means. And sure, that's part of it. But the real lesson is way deeper than that. It's about a decision Buffett made when he was 28 years old. A decision that most people never make. He decided where his money was going to work, not where it was going to sit, not where it was going to be spent, where it was going to work. See, when you buy a bigger house, you're not just buying walls and a roof. You're buying higher property taxes, higher utility bills, more maintenance, more insurance, more stuff to fill it with. Every single one of those things pulls money out of your life every month for decades. Buffett looked at that $31,000 house and asked himself a question. If I spend an extra $50,000 on a nicer house, where does that money go? And the answer was simple. It goes nowhere. It doesn't grow. It doesn't compound. It just sits there, locked in walls. But if he put that $50,000 into investments instead, that money could double, then double again, and again, and again, for 67 years. This is the part of the story nobody talks about. The house wasn't the point. The point was everything that house didn't cost him. Here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Wealthy people see every dollar as a worker, not as something to spend, but as something to deploy. When you spend $1 on something that doesn't make you money, that worker is gone. It's not coming back. It's not building anything. But when you put that dollar into an asset, into something that grows, that worker stays on the job forever. Let's do the math on Buffett's house. In 1958, Buffett bought his Omaha home for about $31,500. Not a mansion, not a status symbol, just a solid, comfortable house. Even back then, he could have spent more. He was already successful. He could have upgraded. But instead, he left that extra money working. That decision matters. If you invested $50,000 in 1958 and let it compound at 20% per year, which is roughly what Buffett's done over his career, do you know what that $50,000 becomes? $387 billion. Yeah, you read that right. The lesson isn't that everyone can earn 20% a year, or $387 billion for that matter. The lesson is that small lifestyle choices, made early, can compound into massive outcomes over time. Buffett didn't get rich by buying flashy things. He got rich by letting capital stay invested and letting time do the heavy lifting. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Your house is probably not what's making you wealthy. I know. Everyone says real estate is a great investment, and sometimes it is. But your primary residence, the house you live in, that's not the same thing as an income-producing investment. It doesn't pay you. It costs you month after month. Mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, utilities, HOA fees. And yes, your home may appreciate over time. But appreciation isn't cash flow. It doesn't put money in your pocket unless you sell. And if you sell, you still need somewhere to live, which usually means buying another house, often at today's higher prices. So the gain isn't as clean as it sounds. Compare that to true investments. Rental properties generate income. Stocks can pay dividends. Businesses create cash flow. Those assets work for you. Warren Buffett understood this early. In 1958, he bought a modest home in Omaha. He could have spent more. He chose not to. Not because housing is bad, but because he didn't want his lifestyle to consume capital that could stay invested. Wealthy people don't confuse comfort with strategy. They live well, but they're careful not to lock too much of their money into things that don't produce income. Because real wealth isn't built by what looks impressive. It's built by keeping your dollars working, long after the purchase stops feeling exciting. Here's where most people lose the game before it even starts. They get a raise, they upgrade their life, bigger house, nicer car, better vacations, and they think they're winning, but they're not. They're just running faster on the same treadmill. Buffett could have done this at any point. When he made his first million, he could have upgraded. When he made his first 100 million, definitely. When he became a billionaire, come on. But he didn't, because he understood something most people never figure out. Every time you upgrade your lifestyle, you lock yourself into higher costs, forever. You buy a $500,000 house instead of a $300,000 house. Okay, cool. But now your property taxes are higher, your insurance is higher, your maintenance costs are higher, and you probably filled it with more expensive furniture. All of that is money that's gone. Not invested, not growing, just gone. And here's the kicker. Once you upgrade, you almost never downgrade. People don't go from a $500,000 house back to a $300,000 house. It feels like failure, like going backwards, so you're stuck, locked into that higher cost forever. Buffett avoided this trap entirely. He set his lifestyle at a reasonable level and never moved it. And because of that, every dollar he made after that could go straight into investments. No lifestyle creep, no keeping up with anyone, just compounding for decades. Now, here's the part people misunderstand. This isn't about living like a monk. It's not about denying yourself everything. Buffett's house isn't a shack. It's a nice, comfortable 5-bedroom home. It's more than enough. The point isn't to live in the smallest, cheapest place possible. The point is to ask yourself, what do I actually need to be comfortable and happy? And then stop there. Because here's what nobody tells you. The difference between a $300,000 house and a $500,000 house, it's not that big. You get more space, maybe a nicer view, fancier finishes, but it doesn't make you happier. Studies show that once you hit a baseline level of comfort, more stuff doesn't increase your quality of life. It just increases your stress, more to manage, more to maintain, more to worry about. Buffett figured this out early. He found a house that worked. It gave him everything he needed. So he stopped. And every dollar after that went toward freedom. Not a bigger house, not a fancier car. Freedom. Here's the final piece that ties it all together. Buffett's house wasn't one decision. It was a philosophy. He applied this same thinking to everything. He didn't buy fancy cars. He didn't wear expensive clothes. He didn't eat at Michelin star restaurants every night. Every single one of those decisions was small. But over 67 years, those small decisions compounded into billions. Most people think wealth is built through one big break, one huge opportunity, one lucky investment. But that's not how it works. Wealth is built through 1,000 tiny decisions, decisions that most people never notice. Do you upgrade the house or invest the difference? Do you buy the new car or keep driving the old one? Do you spend the bonus or put it to work? None of these decisions feel life-changing in the moment, but over time, they are. Warren Buffett's house was never the secret. The restraint was. Wealth grows when lifestyle stays in its lane. You don't have to live in a tiny house to build wealth, but you do have to ask yourself the same question Buffett asked. Where is my money working hardest? If it's locked up in walls, in furniture, in things that don't grow, it's not working. So the real question isn't, how nice is my house? It's, how much freedom is my money buying me? Answer that honestly. And your financial decisions start to look very different. Money stops being stressful and starts being strategic.